Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Victoria Gray. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you here today, sharing insightful tips on estate sales. I've known a friend way back when I told you about who was a podcaster who just happened to be doing the line of work you're doing. But a lot of people listening in might not know what the heck that's all about. So I'd like, before we get into the nitty gritty of some tips you might have for our guests, for our listeners, share a little bit about your work and what you're all about.
My work. Well, this is how I began. You want me to tell you that?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Okay. So my husband died when I was 36. I have 4 children, and he didn't have any life insurance. So I thought, I cannot keep working for a lawyer. I wanted my children to grow up with their mother here with them as much as possible. So the first year after he passed, I went to about 20 different seminars, learning about business, what I should do, how I could incorporate my children in there. And one of the sessions spoke of auctions. And I had gone to an auction when I was 16. I only went to one. And my ears perked up. I thought, well, at least I know what they do. They talk really, really fast. And they say sold. So I thought, oh, at least I know what they do. So I checked into it. And I started asking around the St. Louis area who could possibly help me, work with me, or whatever. And there was one gentleman who I knew who was an auctioneer, but he already was set in his business. And so I thought, well, okay, I'm just going to research it. So for 6 months, I went to auctions with an actual pen and paper and wrote everything down. Anytime somebody held something up, they would say Depression glass era, 1930s or whatever. And I'd write it down, sketch what I saw. And I went to high end, low end, really trashy auctions just to see the whole scope of it. Once I did that, then I thought, well, I'm going to connect with probate and see if there's anything from that end that I could do. Yes, there was. So I started bidding on different estates. And by that time I had an auctioneer to work for me. And I bought an old ratty truck and a trailer, and it worked just fine. And that's just what started. Oh, and I started speaking at real estate offices.
Wow. Now, let me just stop right there. I've had my experiences with probate offices because my mom died a couple of years ago and left a will. And actually, so now to get into the nitty gritty, what that basically means, probate, is if a family member dies or something and they leave the house or certain properties in your name, you go through an attorney and then they release that. And then often you have to go about trying to sell or get rid of certain stuff of your past relatives. And I think that's what you were talking about there. An estate could be your own estate, or it could be, as in this case, probate, a relative estate that you're trying to sell off because you're not going to keep all this stuff. Do I have that correct?
You have it spot on. Yes. There are so many people who call me and say, I have all these things and I'm so worried. What do I do? They're my parents' things. I feel like I'm touching their stuff and I'm getting my hand slapped. So I shouldn't do it. And I said, no. Your parents or your relative would just love it if you enabled others to purchase the items at an estate sale or auction, however you wish to do it. And it creates a circle of life.
Yeah.
That circle of life is all about, there's 4 Ds: debt, downsizing, divorce, and death, which is what you experienced. And through probate, they will hold the contents if the person has not made a will. If it's in testate, they hold it for about 1.5 years. Then they allow people like me. When I first started off, had an auction business, and then I rolled it into estate sales. But I have learned a lot about this business. It's fed me and my 4 babies.
Wow. So, you know what's interesting? Now let's get on the opposite end of the rung. You might be in need of certain things, and auctions or going to one of your estate sales could be a great way to find the treasures that other people aren't using anymore that you could buy at a discounted rate.
You are absolutely correct. And nowadays there are 2-income families, and before there weren't. So now the young people will buy what I call throwaway furniture, and within short order, they're seeking for something again. And people will come to my sales and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is real wood." I said, "Yes, that's what people in my time period and prior used to purchase because nobody had the money to
Mm-hmm.
just buy and toss, you know. The
Mm.
Depression saw to that, and people were educated through their parents. And then even my father was 91 when he passed. He was a little guy. He was 8 when it happened, and he was cautious when he purchased things, and
Yeah.
he told us to value what we have.
Yeah. And that's
And
an important thing because you're thinking, oh, I'll just get this IKEA furniture or whatever. And it's
yes,
nice, but
it's
it's
cute.
it's
Yeah,
not something to last for the next 70 years.
that's correct.
My parents had things that were 50, 60 years old and which
Hmm.
will last you. Like I remember going to a Salvation Army and there was an oak armoire for
Mm.
clothing armoire on sale for $75. I'm sure it was from some older person's house. It was
Sure.
beautiful. Oh, gorgeous. That piece lasted, it's still around and it's beautiful, but it
It
cost me
is, yeah.
$75 because I was able to get a discounted rate. So this is just some of the wonderful finds you can end up finding at some of the estate sales that could save you from having to go out there and buy that new furniture every couple of years.
You're absolutely correct. And what happened for me was, since I was purchasing, I would bid and then I get the bid through probate.
Mm.
I could keep anything I wanted. So as my children were growing, if they needed a bunk bed, I could buy a bunk bed perhaps. New mattresses, oftentimes, people much older than me, I'm getting up there. But anyway, older than me, they they'll purchase brand new mattresses. So it's still there. They might have twins, fulls, kings, queens, whatever the case may be. That is it's the best way and smartest way to purchase items, as long as it's in good shape, of course, or if you know how to fix a particular item.
Yeah.
I love this business.
Yeah. It's so great. And, I'm personally totally okay with buying most stuff used. I know some people are like, oh, I want it new, new, new. But there's something to be said, especially for the older furniture items that are made so well with such character that you
Right.
often
Yes.
can't find that sort of thing made today. So I have no problem. There are certain items that, maybe a mattress that if it's used, I don't want to go there, shoes
Yeah.
used, that type of thing.
Yes.
But there's so many good things, even a used car, I have no problem with as long as you can able to check it's in good condition. Am I going to have a problem down,
Absolutely.
down the line?
Absolutely.
Now,
Yes.
let's say someone listening in not only wants to check out a future estate sale going on, how do they even begin to find out what's around their area so they can,
Okay.
yeah.
There's a program that came out about 12, 13 years ago called estatesales.net.
Mhm.
And here in St. Louis, that's where I have the largest following. I have about 23,000 subscribers, and basically, that's where you would go. And they also have a Facebook page. I have a website, victoriagray.net, and you can see what I'm doing next.
Mhm.
Um, that's where you should go.
Yeah.
The newspapers are out, sad to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, also, I think there might be someone just like you listening and going, you know what? This could be a wonderful business. She sounds like she's doing fabulous. How would I begin to
Yes.
get into this sort of business today? Do you have any advice for people on that?
Yes. I'll show you my book.
Okay.
Want me to show that?
Yeah, go
Okay.
for it. Yeah, go
So
for it.
you can, it's Estate Sales Made Easy, a
Mm-hmm.
practical guide from start to finish.
Nice.
And you can buy this on Amazon. I have outlined where you should go. CORE, CORE, is really a terrific place to go when you've never had a business. There's senior citizens who help step by step help walk you through. Yes. And so it's really wise to go and speak to them.
Uh,
Um, do a lot of footwork. Go to auctions, even though this is an estate sale business that I handle now, but
mm,
go to auctions, hear what's going on, jot down notes, take
mm,
pictures, whatever you need to do. Go to high-end auctions because they're so super. They have little catalogs usually,
ooh,
and you'll get to what I did. I went to Sotheby's was here in St.
yeah,
Louis.
yeah,
It's kind of like Christie's in New
yeah.
York. And I just go through their catalog as they're speaking. I'll write down what that was because the picture's right there. It's just beautiful. Um, I would recommend that they do that.
And I like
Yeah.
that you're mentioning that because you did your homework. It was like, I have this idea, but let me do some homework and figure out what
Yes.
I need to do, get into the industry, because there's a flow, and like all industries, there's also a lingo and a way people
True.
there's certain actions and also language that comes with every single industry, and you'll have to learn that to get in the nitty gritty of it. And
You
also how
do.
to, and also how to go about, like, if you want to auction or get in contact with probates, what does that look like? How does that work? It's going to take a little bit of work, but your book, Estate Sales Made Easy, is just the way to do it. And, go. I felt like
I was
you
going to
want to
say,
say.
it's really easy if you love to research and learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like to organize, I don't recommend it
Yeah.
because the client is so, they've lost their loved one. No matter if it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, father, sister, brother, whatever, they've lost that loved one. They don't even want to touch the items because it brings back so many sad memories.
Yeah.
So I would recommend reading up on it, and you have to learn how to let go. Okay.
Yeah. And, you made a good point there, because I'm guessing there's some difficult times where, say, you go into an estate process, or you're going to help a family with that. And maybe there's a lot of sentimental attachments, and they're going to want to hoard or not let go. And, how do you work through that? How do you help the families work through that?
That is an excellent question. I didn't realize I was going to be would I be a psychologist? Or was I don't know. But in the process, you have to have compassion, a great deal of compassion, because these are things that meant something to a particular person. They don't want to throw them away unless, when I walk in there and I talk to them and I feel the angst, sometimes people are so troubled that I have to be cautious what I say. And then there's others like, I don't want anything, just sell it. So we can sell the house, do everything real fast, Victoria.
Yeah.
But when they are wanting to hold on to it, I will ask them to hold it if they can. If it's a small item, if it's a piece of clothing, take a picture. Keep it with you the rest of your life. Take a lot of pictures. The digital part of it is really wonderful now. I mean, you can just pull it up on your phone or computer or whatever, save it on a disk, mom and dad's items. And let go, because, and I'll say this, the circle of life needs to continue. Whenever we leave, our kids are going to do whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I hope that they don't trash everything. They know, though, not to.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you say that, because I have my husband's parents are really have a lot of sentimental value to a lot of their things, and they're not using a lot of them. So we'll say to them, hey, if you're not using it, because my husband jokes, because for me, I'm not using it for 6 months, it goes out the door. Someone else is going to, I give it to someone else. But some people are like, no, I might need it later. And then things store up, pile up. And I'm like, but it's sitting there and it could be great use for someone else out there. Just mind shift a little bit to say, okay, I'm not using this right now. Who can benefit from it and enjoy this item right now?
That's great that you recognize that. I don't throw everything away in 6 months or give it away, but I do move. I like to move. And I'm a mover shaker. So every 5 to 8 years or so, I've moved throughout my life, and I love it because it's a fresh cleansing. And something else that I always tell people is open the windows when you first go into your loved one's home. Open the windows, breathe in new life, and enjoy what's there. Touch it, feel it, make a mess. We don't care, because we come in and we organize everything for a sale. I stage it to where it looks kind of like a store, but they should feel it, touch it, love it, and let go. If they can possibly do that, because most people don't have room in their homes to carry everything home.
I know. And that's what I found from one of my friends whose mom died. She had a beautiful house full of a lot of antiques. Also, not really the style and essence of my friend. She's more artsy, down earthy, and her mom was not. So she's like, but I feel like I'm throwing away my mom if I get rid of this beautiful antique furniture. And just like you said, you're not, because you're giving it to someone who loves that sort of thing,
Absolutely,
passing it on, and they'll get to enjoy it just as much as your mom did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful process. Go ahead.
It is. It totally is.
I love it.
I can see why you love this business, because it really is, as you say, the circle of life, the sharing of beautiful things that can make someone else happy, and maybe practical things that someone out there really, really needs, that you could
always
gift them and allow them to use those items in their life. Victoria, I don't want anyone to leave without finding out how they can get a copy of your book and find out more about you. Could you give them your website and all that juicy information?
Oh, sure. My website is victoriagray.net. My book, again, this way, is on Amazon.com and other online presences, and it's in the stores. If it's not there, you can ask for it. There's also, get this, in the book, and this is what Hay House, originally they asked me to write the book. They asked me to put in my stories. And when I told them that I also see, feel, and hear the energies in the home, which a lot of people actually feel something when they go into people's homes. You might think it was a deja vu or something. I will get different thoughts from somebody who has passed, and a few of those stories are in the book as well. So if you start the business, don't be afraid of that.
Yeah.
They're like just reconnecting.
Yeah, I like that you say that, because everyone, I find we're not just bodies, we're spirit beings too. And when I go into people's house, they have a certain way of being, an essence, and it's different than you. And so I'll go into certain people's houses and I'm like, this doesn't jive with me. But
exactly,
but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. Yeah,
totally different. Yeah. You can feel the angst in a home sometimes. I can, and I'm like, do I take this sale or do I not take the sale? But on average, anybody who's going to have an estate sale, they don't want to throw the items away, so they're more connected to the family member. And I love that part of it as well. There's tons that I love about this.
I know. I can see your passion. It's so awesome. Well, everyone, I don't want you to leave. Go out and get today Victoria's book, Estate Sales Made Easy, victoriagray.net. Thank you so much for coming to Savvy Broadcasting today.
Thank you for having me, Christina.
You betcha.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.